I want to talk about siloing your attention. So, I've just spoken about training your mind to really focus more on creating the results that you want in your life. Specifically, focusing yourself really on one result that you really need to get in your life right now. So, to add on to that topic, I need to talk about siloing your life. I think one of the biggest traps in all of reality is distraction. As I've said in another of my videos, reality is competing for your attention at all times, in every way, shape, and form. And so I'm wondering, how much are you being distracted away from your goals? Do you even have any goals set? Do you even have a single result in mind that you want to accomplish, that you want to create? Or are you being spread thin by having too much ambition and having too many desires? Listen, you can have all the desires you want, but you have to just choose to focus on one. And I know making a decision is to choose to close yourself off to all other decisions. You're choosing to just choose this one path and to say no to everything else. That is, in essence, what making a decision is. But it's a necessary evil if you ever want to actually create something called a result. So let's say you have five results that you want to create. What is that one result that you desperately need or just really want right now? And what if you focused solely on that for the next 100 days, or at minimum, just put 100 hours of work towards it? How far do you think you can get? And I want you to do an analysis of your life. First of all, seeing like how structured is it versus, just randomly and doing stuff impromptu. But also make a mind map even of, take stock of all the things that you do in your life right now. And I want you to tell me how many of those activities that you partake in is directly supporting the goal, is directly making strides, directly moving the needle towards creating that result that you want to create. For a lot of people, you'll make the discovery that, holy shit, like I only have like maybe 5% of my day working towards directly creating that result. And then that can really sober you up and have you realize like, oh shit, like I need to really reallocate how I use my time here. So I guess you have all these goals and to do all this stuff, but if you go too long without actually creating something or without actually creating a result, you risk losing the bigger picture at demotivating yourself. Because if you go too long without creating a result, I think you can start to come up with beliefs that, hey, maybe I'm not cut out for this. When really, it's just that you're not focused enough. There's an idea around a fool can become way more successful than a genius if the fool is putting all of his effort into one thing while the genius is putting his effort equally into 5 things. And it's just simple math where how much time is the fool putting or let's just say not the fool, but the dumb one, because really you realize that that person's not necessarily a fool. But let's say, yeah, how much time the dumb person is putting into one thing, that's going to be able to circle several times around the genius that's only putting in 20%. And then you realize, like, okay, well, if that's the case, if I have to kill off all of my hopes, like all my goals, whatever, just so one can survive, what is that one thing? And there's books written about this with the title, The One Thing. And what's important is, if you really want to actually get a result in life, you have to ask yourself, what is the one thing that I want right now? And you only can pick one, so be wise about it. And I think that actually takes quite a bit of courage to actually say no to everything else and to just say yes to one thing. That's showing seriousness. That's showing that, like, yeah, no, I actually want this. Because I think also what happens when we divide our attention too much is that we can give ourselves an excuse for failure, an excuse for not getting the results we want. Because we're trying to do 5 things at once, and none of them are getting a result because it's just taking it's so slow. We can avoid failing altogether. But if we are focusing on one thing, if we silo our entire life, it's like, okay, I want to get this result. Then it becomes very binary. It's night and day. Do you have the result or do you not have the result? And if you don't have the result, then you failed, because you're doing nothing but activities that are creating the results that you want. So it definitely takes a lot more courage, because now it's getting real. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I actually can mess up. But that is, of course, the journey towards success. You have to really be okay with failing again and again, because you just don't care about failure necessarily. You care more about the process of learning. And that's a lot of having no ego, because it's a process of slowly killing the mediocre part of yourself that produce subpar results, such that the only thing that survives is the individual that can really create something worthwhile. And that's a real painful process, but boy, is it worth it in the end. So, very honestly, here's your assignment. I want you to do an audit of how you spend your time. And I want you to do an audit of the goals that you have. And I want you to pick one thing such that you focus all the way to the result, such that you get the result you want. Or even just like, okay, I'm going to do this until I clocked in 300 hours. And see what I get, how far I get. And also redesign your day. So if you don't schedule it, schedule your days. And also when you do an audit of what you actually do every single day, notice where you're wasting your time. Notice where you're getting distracted. Notice the things that you're doing that are, fulfilling other bigger goals, but that are not actually directly moving the needle on the specific project that you're working on. So, Give that a whirl. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you found this useful. And I'd like to thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one.